All right, so what's the real deal behind 75 Hard and the Live Hard program? Does it work? Will you really see changes? What do you get from it? Well, I'm going to tell you about my story because I've just finished day 30 of phase 3 for the Live Hard program. It all started for me on August 1st last year. I was probably in one of the bottomest places I've been in a long time. My mom has been appearing sick with Alzheimer's disease settling in. I was having relationship problems. My business partner and I had issues. My company was almost bankrupt and we had to lay off people, put them on half pay, put them on unemployment because we couldn't make payroll. And I lost most of my money that I'd had saved up my whole life in investments. And I was with my girlfriend in Rome at the time, and I was sitting on the bench thinking, all right, all of these things are just going bad, and I don't really know what to do right now. I can't control anything. And it occurred to me that the only thing that I really did have control over was what's going on in my mind, and nothing else. And I had to find a way to fix my mind right away just to get things back on track, because I had no other option. The very next day, my girlfriend slips in the shower and breaks her back in the middle of Rome where they don't speak English, and she can't move. She can't walk. She can't do anything. And at that point, we just really don't know what to do. We finally make it back home, and somehow a few days later, through the law of attraction or synchronicity, or maybe just the magic of Facebook data profiling, I saw a post on Facebook where someone was talking about 75 Hard. And I look it up, and it talks about all the benefits that you can get through the program from mental toughness. And I'm thinking, all right, I don't know why, but this is exactly what I need, and I need it right now. So the next day, on August 8th, that's when I started, because that was a sign. And 3 days later, I told 2 of my friends, and they joined in with me for 75 Hard. Now I went through the program, and every day during the workouts, I listened to MFCEO, Real AF, just taking in information, taking in lessons. And there was a lot of stuff that I got from this experience, going through 75 Hard and listening to the podcast. One of the things I learned about was the concept of extreme ownership from the book and from Jocko Willink, where if you take ownership of something, it doesn't have to be your fault, but it is your responsibility. And that's when you can start making everything your responsibility, because you can then control it. I also learned that you have to stop letting the small shit slide in life. Because when you start letting small shit slide and compromise on small stuff, you start setting a standard where compromise is okay, and then that compromise starts compounding and growing bigger and bigger until the next thing you know, your whole life is just shit. But when you stick to your commitments and to your standards, you have confidence in what you say you're going to do because you actually do it. I learned for the first time in my life what true work ethic was. That you really have to show up every day and be consistent no matter what, and do whatever needs to be done, whether you like it or not, especially on the test days when you really don't like it. I learned about discipline, how motivation is just the thing that only gets you started, and discipline keeps you going after you get started. But what you really need to develop is a habit, because a habit is what becomes who you are. And then after you've built those habits, you don't even need discipline anymore. I learned about, through drinking a gallon of water and doing that first workout, that you have to really get the important shit done first, early in the day, and often the hardest stuff earlier, because the day is going to come rushing at you and throw a monkey wrench at you. Everyone's going to start throwing things at you, and you can't always get the things done later on if you plan to. From drinking that water, all that water, I learned that water really is life. Because when you drink so much water, you eat less food. And then you realize you don't need nearly as much food to survive and be healthy and be fit. So you eat less food, but you eat better food, the essential food. When you eat the essentials, you lose weight, you feel better, you're in better health. And that weans you off of food addiction because you don't need as much as you think. You're in better health, you can perform better, and you can react better. And this all comes from drinking the water. So what happened to me? after going through these things. One of the first things that happened was that I reached the physical peak of my health that I ever had. I had a set of six-pack abs that put a lot of 20-year-olds to shame, and this is me at 42 years old. It killed off a lot of limiting beliefs that I had, things that I was afraid of, thinking I couldn't do. Things such as sales, talking to strangers, meeting people. Through the cold showers, I understood and learned how to sit with and face your fear. What that fear process really is. First, before you reach out there and you turn the knob, there's this anticipation, this panic, because you know you're not going to like what's going to happen. And then when that cold water hits you, there's that first shock where your whole system just lights up. And then you feel that pain for the first few minutes, building and building in intensity, because the water's just so freezing. And you get to a point where you can't take any more and you think you're just going to lose it and die. And all of a sudden, there's just calmness and you're okay. That fear process, we can translate that to so many things in life. And through this program, I've learned to sit with that, observe it, and live with it. I've learned that you don't have to be lonely in life. You can go out and start a conversation with a random person, because strangers are often just friends that we haven't met yet. And people in the big cities, especially in the big cities, are hungry for connection. They thirst for other contact. And we have such a habit of walking around on our phones with the earphones on and staring at our phones that we miss out on this connection. It's all around us. I've learned through the random act of kindness that we really can become better people. We can act in kindness, we can act with giving, and we can make that a daily habit so it really becomes who we are. And through all these learnings, what happened? What was it concretely for me? Well, I decided I wanted to do a fitness certification to really break through my plateaus, really hit the next level of fitness. And I managed to accomplish 6 specializations of being a certified fitness trainer. I studied, I took courses, and I became good at sales. I started closing deals for my company. Right now, we're on track to close $1.5 million, which is 5 times more than we've done the year before. I learned Spanish, something I had studied long ago, forgot about, and thought maybe I'll get back to one day, maybe not, it's so hard. I've done it. And I've even gone and applied to grad school, finally, taken that off of my someday list and put it on my now list. And this is a program that I can do part-time while I'm building my business over the next 3 to 6 years, but I've taken action to get started. And all these things that I was curious about and afraid of, I've gone and I've locked them in. And some of them I've gotten really good at. But 75 Hard, there are some dark sides of it too. One of the things I've learned is that it's not for everyone. Not everyone wants to perform at the highest level. Not everyone is on the same pathway. And you and I, we have to recognize that for what it is. That's okay. There's not just one path to success and one path forward in life. Each of our paths is unique. And you have to find your own path and make the most of it. I also learned that if you drop the ball, you go right back to where you started. After finishing phase 2, I was exhausted. My body was tired, aching. And the only thing I could think of was how bad I wanted a cookie. I let up on my diet, I started drinking, and I gained 20 pounds right back. And it took me a few months to say, okay, this is the wrong direction. I need to get right back on track to where I was. I had broken my momentum. And it wasn't until I started phase 3 that I finally started to manage to get things back on track. I've now finished phase 3. And it wasn't until I started phase 3 that I finally managed to get things back on track. I've now finished day 30 of phase 3, and thus the first year of the Live Hard program. And tomorrow I start 75 Hard all over again, for Live Hard Year 2. What I've learned is that it's not just about what you do, it's about who you become. And if you want to see long-term, lasting success and changes, you have to become someone who can deal with all the shit that life throws at you. 75 Hard won't fix all of your life's problems, but it will teach you how to deal with them. Life still isn't perfect for me, not by any means whatsoever. My mom is still sick and getting worse. My back is giving me problems now from where I had surgery 3 years ago. My relationship can still use improvement, and the business needs a lot of work. There's still so many things that I need to learn and so many ways for me to grow. And that brings me to the truth about 75 Hard. The truth is, 75 Hard is only the start. If you want to see long-term changes, this is who you have to become. Stop looking for the shortcuts and stop looking for the end of the road. There is no end. Choose hard, live hard, and live intentionally. I'll see you tomorrow, starting on day 1.